morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Right. Good or okay? Or great? Right? All right. My name is Chris Armendariz. This is Jesus, and this is Farrakhan, or Fernando. Today, we're going to be talking to you about Apple. How many? Okay. We're going to start off. What is Apple? Who here knows what Apple is? Everybody should put their hands up. Everybody owns an Apple computer or phone, iPod, or anything. Apple is an organization that started in 1984. But before I get into this, I'm going to start by giving you an introduction about what we're going to be talking today about. We're going to be talking about what is Apple. We're going to give you in the paragraph and in the body, we're going to be speaking about what is Apple. We're going to be talking about the financial status, where the statistics of Apple around the whole world and the globe. We're also going to be talking to you about the innovations that's been given around due to the renovations and everything that Apple's given us. So what is Apple? Or Apple is an organization, like I already stated, that started in 1984. It was created by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Many of y'all don't know who that person is, but they're both the CEO founders of Apple. Believe it or not, this statement, because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were two crazy but brilliant young men. Steve Wozniak worked for Atari. Does anybody know what Atari is?
Yes.
No. Atari is a video game system that came out in the early 1980s or 1900s, right around there. And Steve Wozniak was working for them, and Steve Jobs decided to work for ByteShop. ByteShop is an organization that helped out Apple start their organization, start their funding, because they had no money once they started. This is where everything started. It's a little video. I'm just going to put a video really quick for y'all. This is just a quick video of where it all started. As we can see here, this is the garage where the first Apple computer, or the first Apple product began. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were two people who created their own computer based on their own resources that were around them at the time. They wanted to make a computer that was easy to make, cheap to use, and cheap to sell, so that anybody can buy it and anybody can use it. And with us going back to this, where everything started, this is where I go back to the quote that Steve Jobs gave. Sorry. Technology is only good when it's useful. This is right here. Because the people who are crazy, they were two crazy people, and because of the crazy and their ingenuity, they were able to create the first Apple computer.
Oh, so I'm going to talk to you a little about Apple products after the Apple one. Apple always said innovation is making things better. It doesn't mean making new things, it is making things better for us to use. So some products after the Apple one that Chris mentioned, where there were three products that are significantly the best that Apple has ever made. Can you name one of them?
iPhone.
The iPhone, the iPod, and the Mac. Yes, those three were the ones that pushed Apple to success. Well, the first one was an iPod, the iPod. As you can see here, I have an old iPod. It's Gen 2. It's the first one that comes with touchable, the wheel that's touchable, that you can swipe it and it moves. And this one was a very cool concept because it just was so easy to use, and it had 30 gigabytes of memory. At the time, this was really expensive because having all this memory inside such a little case means it was very costly. And the next product was the iMac. They made the first Mac really simple to use. It was a desktop computer, and it had fast processing power, and that's what made it so special. And the third and final product that Apple has given us was the iPhone. That, as you all know, is the best one. Is the best product that Apple has ever given us, because it doesn't just give us internet and a phone, but it also gives us the iPod inside of a phone. So you have all three products in one device. But on October 5, 2011, Steve Jobs died of pancreatic cancer. That he was diagnosed with this cancer in 2004, and according to a Times report, it is said that only 20% of people get to live more than 5 years when this type of cancer is diagnosed, because it is deadly as well as it spreads fastly, and that's the problem that Steve couldn't pass. After the death of Steve Jobs, the company at first they rose into popularity because everyone was talking about the death of the founder of Apple. But later in time, that popularity went down because people were criticizing Apple for not making innovative products. As you see, many people are saying that Apple doesn't innovate as much as they did before. They're saying they are saying they are getting repetitive, as well as just not giving an advanced product, just giving the same. It does the same. And also, the competition has already been catching up to Apple. As we see, Samsung already has a better operational system on tablets, and are estimated to beat Apple in sales in the years to come. Well, this is a true statement because Samsung has been gaining popularity and Apple has not been able to invent newer products that surpasses the Samsung's powerful operational system.
Okay, now let's move on to this. I'm going to tell you further facts about the Apple company, and I don't know if you know them, but if you know it, that's okay. First, did you know that 1 million Apple devices are in active use around the world? Did you know that? Like approximately the exactly quantity? Did you know? No? Okay. Why do you think we use Apple? Well, what? It's faster. Another reason? Easy to use. Another one? Do you like the design? Well, those are the main reasons. And another one? Do you have another one? No? Okay, very good. And who owned an Apple device? Just raise your hand. Come on. Okay, most of you. So, do you think which percentage of Mexico use an Apple device? Like approximately, which percentage do you think? Apple? Yeah, Apple. An Apple device. Any iPad, iPod, iPhone, whatever you want. 80? 80%.
30.
30. Okay. Someone? No?
20.
Okay. 16? Okay, let me tell you, you're very far. 5, more or less. Okay. I'm going to show you here, this graph. Okay, this graph is very important because it represents the users of the system here in Mexico. We start in January 2013, and then we finish on October 2015, okay? So the blue color represents the Android system here in Mexico. So like you see, it's the most common that we use, and we use it because it's cheaper than the Apple. Then the dark blue represents the iOS system that belongs to the Apple. So it's like I'm going to show you that's the last one. Like you see, for example, here, the Android has 84% in the total population, and the iOS system is only useful in 8.4% of the population. So it's going down instead of increasing. If you check in another, for example, here, it's 6.7% of the population. Yes?
But is that only for people that own a cell phone?
No, only
For all
any
people?
device. When Apple say an active device, it refers to the people who use the company services, like the iTunes, like the the Apple Store. So they have an iPad or even a Mac, an iPod, any product of Apple. So that percentage corresponds to that. Do you have another question?
Is that just for Mexico?
What? No, sorry.
It's just for Mexico?
Yeah, that's graph is only for Mexico. I'm going to tell you the other countries. But now we're starting with Mexico because someone say 80, and I was thinking the same when I was investigating, but I was really impressed when I found that graph. Okay? Good. I'm sorry, let's go back to next. Okay. The first country that uses the most Apple devices first is China. And why do you think it's China?
Because they assemble Apple products.
Cheaper.
Well, cheaper they assemble.
There are a lot of people living there.
Yeah, that's the reason. China is one of the largest countries with the highest, how do you say it? The highest population of the over the world. And then we have India, but we start with China. And for that reason, we are talking about 1.34 billion people in China, and 900 of that people use Apple devices or they are mobile users. Okay, and what? How many? 900 of the total population, that is 1.34 billion people. And then in India, that is the second place, they are 1.2 billion people, and 70% of that population use Apple devices. And then we have the United States, that is obviously, Apple is headquartered there, it's like part of its culture. And the total population is 310 billion people, and 96% of that population use Apple devices. And then in the fourth place is Brazil, and Brazil I think is very interesting, even it has the fourth place, because it is the highest number of mobile device users around the world. So they really use Apple devices in every part of Brazil because they think it's trendy, they think it's innovative. There are a lot of reasons, but it's more like a social position or something related to that. Do you have another question over here? No? Okay. Well, in the fifth place, we have Indonesia. I'm not going to tell you each detail, only the most important. Then we have Russia, Japan, Pakistan, United Kingdom, and at the end, we have Germany with the top 10. We close it with Germany. And Germany has 27 million people, but those people are mobile users, So they use Apple devices to most of them, because I didn't find exactly percentage. Okay. Very good. So in that graph, I want you to look very, I have to be here. Okay. Those are the numbers of iPhones sold in the first quarter of this year. Apple has statistics each quarter of the year, each 4 months. So this year started on January, February, March, April, and then we finish on April. So for example here, Apple in United Kingdom, they sold 74.5 million of iPhones. And later I will tell you why, because it's primary revenue generator. So it's more than the population of the United Kingdom, if we contrast that. Then, in this graph, it says Apple predicted revenues compared to the world gross domestic products. So, the gross domestic product is like determine the range of the economy of a country. So, if you see here, I don't know if you can look very well the names of the countries on the side of the graph. Did you see them?
Oh.
No, or they are very dark. No? Well, here, this one is Apple, okay? So, like I told you, the last quarter that finished on December 31st, Apple sold 74.6 million of iPhones. So it's the same that selling 34,000 iPods every hour, every day. iPhones, I'm sorry. So if we compare that, if the sales of the company are going like that in 3 quarters, it's going to be more than the gross domestic product of Hong Kong. Like you see, this is Apple, and then we have the gross domestic product of Hong Kong, and it's more. Okay, let me go back to this. The second fact, it is also the world's third biggest mobile phone maker after Samsung and Nokia. And why do you think it's the biggest? The biggest? Because its primary revenue generator is the iPhone. Most of us have an iPhone instead of an iPad or an iPod. It's the main product. And like I told you, they sold in this quarter 74.6 million, and the other 60% of its earnings of the company corresponds to the Apple TV and Apple Watch. But Apple didn't want to say exactly the quantity of earnings they got, because it's like giving information for the other companies that are trying to beat them. And in the third fact, we have, it is the second largest information technology company by revenue at the world, in the world, I'm sorry, after Samsung Electronics. What do you think is revenue? What do you think that means? Does that mean?
What do you get from sales?
What do you what? One, please, one, only one. You,
What do you get from sales?
you got to say it. More or less, what it means when you go to a grocery store, even Target, here in Mexico, Soriana, Walmart, Sears, you found Apple products, and that's revenue, and it's the main sale of the company. Okay, and that's why the revenue is like the best option for them. But even they have their own store, that's Apple Store, and this concept was introduced by Ron Johnson. He was the senior vice president of retail operations in the company, and he created this concept of Apple Store because I don't know if you went before to a store of the company before they reinvent the concept. It was boring. It was like you go to Soriana or I don't know, Sears or Liverpool, and you see only the devices in the box, and you cannot touch them, you cannot buy, you cannot see the apps that it has. And what Johnson made was change everything. So he creates the Apple Store that is like a playground from the customers. You can go, and even if you go, they don't ask you, what do you want to buy? They ask you, what do you want to do? So it's like you try the service, you try which product you want, and then they personalize it for you if you're going to buy it. So it's different, and it really increased the sales. The annual sales in $1 billion of the company, and it increased better than the Gap company that is they sell clothes. Okay. And which one was the last one? Okay. I have another one. It says Apple first quarter profits. In the first quarter of this year, like I told you, Apple got it was 18%, but it was under 20% of the richest man of the world. That is Bill Gates, and he is the Microsoft founder. So the earnings are more or less better, we can say it. And then finally, the users of Apple. Like you see, the blue one that is 36% represents the millennials. Do you know who are the millennials? Yes. What? 90s. Yeah, 80s to 2000. So we enter in that category. So we are the millennials, and 30% of the total, or this graph is about the world. So the 36% represents of the world the millennials that use most Apple devices. And then in the second place we have the 32 with the Gen X. Yeah, Gen X. Those are the people who are 30 to 54, and then we have the boomers that we can consider them like maybe your grandfather, and they are between 56 to 80, and then 60% are silent, the ones that are more of 80 years, 81 in Greece. Do you have another question? No? Okay. Well, like you see, Apple has interesting information in statistics, and I found out a lot of finance, but I couldn't put it here because it's a kind of tricky, the information. Okay, I think that's all right.
I have a quick question for y'all. Does anybody in here know how Apple gets popular every year? Any ideas?
Marketing?
Marketing?
There are big launches.
Big launches?
New products?
New products? Okay, what do you mean by new launches?
Every year, when he used to be Steve Jobs, he used to do a major launch at a big event that boosts Apple's popularity and talk up. Well, Tim Cook does it as well, but a big event where the CEO talks about the new features of the new product and he explains why it is awesome and people buy it.
You're right. What they do is they hold a big event called Keynote.
Yeah.
Keynote's it's not really a big organization, but Keynote's a big place where they go and they talk to their customers and show them the new products that's going to come out. And do you know when they come out?
September 7.
September 7th, October. They come out September 19th. It's every year Apple tries to make it at that date. They've been doing that since the beginning of time, or since Steve Jobs tried to do it. Every year they try to come out with a new device on September 19th. And this year, what are they coming out with?
iPhone 7.
iPhone 7. Anything else?
Apple Watch.
New Apple Watch.
New MacBook.
New MacBook.
Software.
We're gonna find out in November. November is when they're gonna announce what they're gonna show us. And on the keynote, well, that's when they held the keynote is on November. My bad. Sorry about that. November is when they hold the keynote, and September 19th is when they take out the products in line for anybody to buy it.
I'm sorry, what is keynote?
Keynote's when they show the people what they're gonna be selling. That's when you pretty much see Steve Jobs talking and walking around when he was alive and showing people what new innovations they have given.
What kind of people can go to those?
People who can go there is anybody, but you have to make sure you buy your ticket. You have to buy a ticket, or the tickets. I really can't tell you that. I did not look into it, but I can tell you that it's mostly gonna be in California, because that's where pretty much everything started. Any other questions?
Okay, we're going to show you a video that a few words that Steve Jobs said in the last conference.
We found this video of Steve Jobs, so we're gonna show you this quick little video. We had another video, but it was too long.
I'm very happy to be here today with you all. And as some of you may know, about 5 months ago, I had a liver transplant. So I now have the liver of a mid-20s person who died in a car crash